Jen, how are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm good, thanks for asking. As you know, this is our last session, and I kind of want to wrap up making sure you have some tools that can ease your anxiety and help you out when you're experiencing negative thoughts or any concerns in regards to you being out of the house or not being with Gavin. And last time I remember ending our session by giving you a sense that we should start thinking about ways in which we can develop your communication skills and help yourself express what you're feeling or thoughts, and especially being with Gavin's dad. Have you had any time to think about something you would like to say or a way in which you can communicate better?
Not really. Only because this week has been a whirlwind. My mom passed away.
Sorry to hear that.
And it was unexpected. So this entire week has been like cleaning out her apartment and planning her funeral and trying to find a home for her cat and getting her like bills situated. So it's been
Very busy.
yeah, very busy. We just had her funeral Friday. So, and then, with school, I have work to catch up on. So I've been trying to get my schoolwork caught up yesterday. And so it's just, I really haven't had a chance to even process all of that.
Understandably.
Yeah, so it's just been craziness. But I mean, in the whole grand scheme of things, I mean, because my mom passed away, I've been forced to leave Gavin, with friends and, so I could take care of all of this stuff. And he's been fine,
That's good. Something good came out of
exactly.
a sad situation, which is not always the best way, but
Yeah. So it's forced him and I both to him do his thing and me do my thing.
and
And I've been fine.
I know you have some concern sometimes about how he may see things or interpret things. Do you have any feelings in regards to how he's taking the situation of your mother's passing?
Well,
or seeing you?
It's so interesting because, just to backtrack, when on Friday, my mom texted me and said, "I think I have a stomach virus. I don't want you or Gavin to come here. I don't want you guys to get sick." And in my head, I'm thinking how can you have a stomach virus? I'm like, "Mom, you don't even leave the house. How did you catch this bug?" And I'm brainstorming, did you eat something bad? I don't understand. She's like, "I just have awful dry heaves." And she's on high milligrams of prednisone for her asthma that she's working her way down since the last hospital visit. And she's like, "I'm afraid to take my medicine because I'm afraid I'm going to throw it up, but I'm afraid not to take my medicine." And, I suggested that she call the doctor, her pulmonologist, to find out. She's like, "Oh, wait and see." And then I was at work and she texted me that she's afraid to be alone and that she's still dry heaving and she might call the ambulance. And I said, "Well, I'm at work. If you do that, just keep me posted as to what's going on." And then when I got home at 3 o'clock from work, I called her. And by this point now she was actually throwing up because she kept putting me on hold to go to the bathroom. And I said, "Do you want to go to the hospital?" And she's like, No, I think I'll be okay. And I had to babysit down in Westchester. I live up in Dutchess, so I had to come down here to Portchester to babysit for a family. So I told her I had to work and, just to call me at least and let me know how she's feeling. And while I was at babysitting, she texted me, which is not uncommon because she texts me weird things before, or butt dials me, or pushes a button and doesn't even know she's calling me. But she texted me it said Microsoft, and then the next message said 9 p.m. and then the next message was PPPOLLLL, and these 3 messages came in back to back, and I wrote back "Mom, are you okay?" and she didn't answer, which is not uncommon either. And then I called her, she didn't pick up, and then I waited like 10 minutes, I called again, she didn't answer, and then I waited like 30 minutes, I called again, she didn't answer, and then I called right after that, she didn't answer, and it didn't like faze me because this has happened in the past. Yeah. Yeah, and I'll get to her house, like in the past, I've run to her house in a panic, and she's like sitting there in the recliner watching TV, and I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? You know, and she's like, what? You know, I don't know. Mom, I've been calling you for like an hour. Oh, I don't know where my phone is. And she really doesn't. And like I'll find it under the couch, like she'd be like, I haven't seen my phone all day. You know, and I'm like, seriously, you need to keep your phone with you. Like answer when I call. So we've had this like argument in the past. So I was like, I'm sure that it's just, you know, she's exhausted or whatever from being up and not feeling well. So then when I drove home from babysitting at like 1, I tried calling her again and she didn't answer. And I had told her when we spoke earlier that day, I said, I'll come Saturday morning, you know, to help you out, to feed the cat, to clean up and see how you're doing. So Saturday morning, I was supposed to meet my friend in New York City. She's visiting from Ohio. My son was supposed to come. And thank God I left my son at home. And I said, I have to go to Nani's house. I'll be right back and then we'll go to the city. And I got to my mom's, and as soon as I got to the door, like I could smell something, but like she has a cat, and I knew that she wasn't able to like take care of the cat the day before, but she didn't feel well, so I'm like, maybe she didn't pick up the cat litter. And then when I opened the door, I saw straight to the couch, and all I saw was like feces, like poop all over the couch. And then I saw a trail of like poop going into the other room, and then you could see like her bedroom from the door, and I didn't see her in the bed, so I walked in a little bit and I found her on the ground between her living room and her bedroom, and her back, like she was laying in like fetal position, and my mom was a very large woman, she was obese, and she was laying in like fetal position, and I could only see her back and like her nightgown. She wore Depends, like the pull-ups, because she had like pee incontinence, but all on her behind was all like poop. And I ran over and I was like, Mom, 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 like shaking her, and like she wasn't responding, and I didn't look at her face or anything. Her hair, she has long hair, it was like over her. And then I just called 911, and they had sent an officer out. And because like they ask you like, do you think you could like do CPR or something? I thought she was already gone. Like, I'm shaking her, she's not moving. I was like, I think she's already deceased. And then so the police officer came, and she happened to be a female, which was nice. And her dad just died 3 months earlier from COPD, and that's what my mom had. So like, I think I have such a strong belief in God, and like, it's an afterlife, and like, I truly feel like people are put in your life for a reason. So it was so comforting to have this woman there who experienced something similar. So she came, and like, she was so kind, and she took pictures. I guess they have to take pictures of it in case it's a crime or something. And then the ambulance came, and they went in, and they came out, and they said, yeah, she's gone. And they took some information, and then we had to wait for the medical examiner to come, which took a while. And and of course my mom's neighbors, and this 55 and older, like people who have never talked to you, they're all up there, like up in your business. So then the medical examiner came, and he's like probably in my age, like really nice guy, again, like such a nice person. He went in, and at that point I'm like waiting out in the hallway of the apartment, and he said that he, after he did everything he needed to do, the funeral home came, and it's not the funeral home where my mom was going to be buried, but one locally where she lives came, and crazy enough, they're like best friends with the funeral home that we're using down here in Westchester, because my mom lived up in Dutchess near me, and in Eastchester there's a funeral home that all our family members, that's where everyone goes when they die in my family.
Yes.
So he knew, like, he was best friends with those owners, which was like such a small world. He's like, oh, I know them, you know, my mom and his mom, and you know, so that was comforting, like, to know that like someone, there's some connectedness there too. So they took my mom and brought her to Poughkeepsie until they transported her down on Monday. And when the coroner came out, he's like, do you have any, first of all, my mom is so OCD, like really bad, that she color-coded like all of her medicine, and she was on like 15 different medications for like mental health, asthma, COPD, like you name it, thyroid. So all her medication bottles were color-coded, but I would laugh because like she'd have a system and forget the system. Like she wouldn't even know what the system was, but everything was neatly color-coded. So the coroner came out and he said, I have to ask you a question. He said, but it's just for off the record, it's my own curiosity. What's with all the colors on the bottles? I was like, my mother, she was color coding. He's like, my God, she was so organized. Like everything had a color and this and that. And I was like, yeah. And then she'd forget, oh, I forget what the pink color is for. I got to go look in my book. What's pink? Like everything was always like, that's how she ran her business, like always. I used to be like, why do you have like 50,000 highlighters from a million different colors? It's just a color code everything. So that was funny. But then we get outside and, you know, I had to ask him like, how long did he think she was deceased and what he thought happened. And he said, you know, given the fact that she's obese and had COPD and the fecal matter everywhere, he said that a lot of times for women, especially when they have heart attacks, that they lose their bowels. And that's probably what that was. And the nausea that she felt throughout the day was probably a symptom of a heart attack going to happen. And he said that, you know, the way things looked, like it looked like a crime scene, like not blood, but it just looked like you could see that she was all over the apartment, like in confusion, you know. And he explained that when people don't get enough oxygen and they are only taking in carbon dioxide, they're basically like poisoning their body, which causes you to become confused. So like, that's why like she went from the couch into the, looks like she went into the bathroom, and the bathroom had fecal matter everywhere, and it looked like she was trying to plunge something because the plunger was out, and then it looked like she was trying to come back out into the living room, and then that's where she collapsed. And then when I went later on that afternoon, I kept hearing this like, and I was like, what the hell? And I realized next to her, where she was sitting, was her nebulizer, and her phone was there. And it looked like she had been nebulizing because she felt like she couldn't breathe.
Yeah.
And then that's what caused, you know, she left that on. Like that humming noise was the nebulizer. It was on the entire day. I didn't realize until that evening when I went back. But like, so like in the process of everything, like it makes sense. You
She
know?
was trying to reach out to you.
Right.
The message
The
didn't make
weird-
sense. She was trying.
Yes. And then when I got her phone, I looked through, and when I said, Mom, are you okay? She started a draft. She started writing, like, it was just letters again, like I, and she never hit send. So I saw the draft in there. So of course, like, and then I asked the coroner, like, what time? And he says, well, you know, it looks like she died overnight. So this was 9 o'clock Saturday. So I'm thinking that 9 o'clock Friday night, when all this texting and stuff, like, that's when she passed. So he's like, you know, I knew you were going to ask me that. Do not blame yourself because, you know, he's like, you could have come at 6 o'clock and she could have seemed okay and then died 3 hours later anyway. You know, he's like, you can't like make yourself think that you could have done something, you know, and not feel, and to feel bad about not responding to the messages, because this has been how it's always been.
Yeah, I agree with him.
And, you know, I think, and weirdly for me, I've always known that I was going to find her deceased. I always knew that. I just always knew, like I'm her caretaker. I'm the one who checks in on her all the time. Like to me, and she's made reference, like I know I'm not getting better. I feel like she kind of knew herself, her own body, because she'd say, I know I'm not getting better. I know this is going to be the end. I honestly can't go on like this. This is no way to live. She was homebound on oxygen 24/7. Like she had no quality of life. She couldn't even shower on her own anymore. That's something I did for her. So like I think she knew herself, and I think for me, I always felt like I would find her. I didn't expect it this soon, but when I go back and look at pictures of the last like 6 months, I can see the deterioration from like 6 months ago to the last photo I took. But because I think I saw her every day, like I didn't see a difference, And it was hard going home because I think I had a premonition or gut feeling because Wednesday, she died Friday, so Wednesday my son and I were there at her house, and we were with her for like 3 hours, and she loved playing with Gavin. Like she would let Gavin like make the biggest messes, and she would never like do it. She was like, whatever, sure, paint what you want. There's paint all over the place, and like she was always so laid back. And they would do these drawing challenges where Gavin would like have his iPad, and he'd say, all right, Nani, I'm gonna put up a picture of SpongeBob. We both have to draw it, and Mommy has to be the judge. So I would have to sit and oh, this one's better, that one's better. So on Wednesday they did that, and like they painted, and like they had such a great time together, and I was like cleaning and taking care of stuff, and sitting and visiting with them. And I was in the kitchen at one point, and my mom hates her picture to be taken because of how much overweight she was, and she had lost all these teeth here from the nebulizer, from not rinsing and stuff. It just makes your teeth fall out. So I was standing in the kitchen, and their backs were to me, and something in my heart was like, and I took a few pictures of them playing. Yeah, like it's like because I felt something in me that said you have to take a picture. Like this is going to be your last time, like with them together. And we had such a good day. We were laughing and joking. Like we were only there a couple hours, and that was Gavin's last time with her. And when I got home, he's like, "Mom, where have you been?" Because it was hours that I was gone. And I said, we need to talk. And he says, are we going to New York City? And I said, I have to tell you something. Come sit down. And, he's 5. And I was so scared of what to say. And I think, this has taught me so much because, it's my fear. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's our issues with death. It's, the more normal you keep it for a kid is, to be normal and healthy and not shield him or hide it because death is inevitable. So let's be prepared for it type thing.
I'm really glad you say that because I know you worry about him and how he responds to things. And for you to be like, this is how it is and this is how it's going to be is really good.
Thank you. And I sat him down and I said, I'm sorry it took me so long at Nani's. I said, you know how Nani always wears the oxygen and she really couldn't participate in things because her body was so tired all the time. I said, sadly Nani died. I said her heart just couldn't do it anymore. And, she passed away. I said, but the wonderful thing, Gavin, is that she's an angel now. We've always talked about that. We go to church, he knows about heaven and God, and and I said, now she's an angel and she can go and do whatever she wants to do and not feel pain or, anything. She'd be free. I said, she might be sitting right here with us now, while I'm being able to be a part of things. And he said, what? Nani's dead? And I said, yes, honey. And he's like, no, she's not. And I said, yes, honey, she died. Well, how did she die? I said, her heart stopped. Well, why didn't you push on her chest? This kid is 5 going on 50. And I was like, honey, when I got there, I said she was already, she had fallen and her heart wasn't working anymore. And he said, she fell? Where did she fall? And I said she fell in the living room. And he said, if I were there, she probably wouldn't have fallen, Mom. I said, no, honey, she would have. I said, because it was her time and her heart just wasn't able to help her stay alive, and the oxygen wasn't enough. And he was like, then he started crying and hugged me, and he says, I'm going to miss her and all the drawing challenges for you too. Who am I going to play with? And I said, honey, I know I'm going to miss her too. And like we were crying, and 2 seconds later he says, so when are we leaving to go to New York City? Like typical 5-year-old. I was like, honey, I don't know if we're going to be able to go. What? We're not going to New York City, you know? And I was like, honey, Mommy has lots to do. And then I explained to him, like, because I called my sister, and she lives in New Hampshire, and she got in the car right away and started heading down here. And, you know, I said, Al is coming. Her name's Allison. We call her Al. I said, Al is coming, and Mommy's going to be really busy the next couple of days because I have to prepare for Nani's celebration. And he's like, we're having a party? And I said, yeah, it's like a party. I said, everyone's going to come together and Nani will be there. And he's like, she's going to be alive? And I go, no, honey, she's going to be, you know, in the casket. He's like, in that box? And I said, yes. And we're all going to like celebrate her life. And I'm going to be really busy the next couple of days trying to get things ready. So, you know, I'm going to need your cooperation and your help. And, you know, maybe you want to like write, he loves like arts and crafts and drawing. I said, maybe you want to like do a letter for Nani or pictures. How about we go through pictures? And he's like, oh yeah, you can glue pictures on the paper. And I said, perfect. And we'll put it in the casket with her. And, you know, so I took out all these pictures, and he was busy doing his little arts and crafts stuff for her. And then every so often he'd come down and say, Mom, is Nani really dead? And I said, yes, she is, honey. And like as soon as my sister got there, she and I went back to the house and like cleaned up all the fecal matter and threw stuff out, and we made it look like her apartment. And then the next morning I had Gavin come with me so that he could see that she really wasn't there. And I said, you know, why don't we go to Nani's and pick out some like special mementos that we want to keep of hers? You know, and he's always eyeing this like little figurine from, what's that Christmas movie, You'll Shoot Your Eye Out?
Home Alone.
No, what's the other one? Like Ralphie, and it's really old. You might.
Christmas Story.
Yes. Like my mom has all the figurines from it, like the house and like the lantern with the foot with the thing on it, yeah. And like he likes the figurine of the kids on the sled. So I said, you know, you're always eyeing that little figurine thing. I was like, I'm sure you could take all of them. And he's like, oh my God, he was so excited. So we brought I brought him, and he got to, you know, he's a hoarder, so like he took that, and then he's like, oh, I really like this too, and I like this too. I mean, the box was like overflowing. I'm like, okay, like, holy shit, what are we doing with all this? But so like that, I think helped him, you know. And then the next day, my brother, who lives in Massachusetts, he came. So me and my sister and brother were there, and we started like packing up her apartment, you know, and getting things thrown out and cleaned up. And Gavin had the chance to be a part of that, which was nice. Like, I think it was just like a nice closure for him. So it was funny at one point, like when everything was cleaned up, because my mom was like messy Marvin. I mean, she'd have like, I'd walk in, papers would be everywhere. She's like, sorry, it's so disorganized. Like, she had no ability. She color coded, but she had no organization skills, like none. So Gavin stepped back, he looked, he goes, God, this is cleaner than even when Nani was here. Like, he's like, it looks really nice. I'm like, yeah, it does. You know, so it was just, I think, nice for him and good for me to have that like step-by-step process. And then he, you know, I told him, if you have any questions, like, please ask me. I want to have that talk, you know, I'll explain as much as I can. So like throughout the days, like he'd ask things like, is Nani going in a box? And I said, well, it's called a casket. Is she going to be laying there like a vampire with her arms like this? And I said, no, honey, your arms are at your side and your eyes are closed. And, you know, he said, well, what, her body just stays there? And I said, yes, her spirit, her angel goes to heaven, and she gets to be with all her animals that have died, and her dad and mom and all these other people, aunts and uncles. And he said, and then that's when I had the segue because her casket was going to be opened, and he was coming to the wake and the funeral. So were all my sister's children. So I said to him, because I didn't know how to approach it, like I didn't want him to be traumatized seeing my mom in the casket. So I sort of just said, when we go to the wake, Nani's going to be in the casket, and you can see her. I said she's dead. I said, remember, it's just her body that's here on earth, but her spirit went to heaven. I said, so, do you want to see her? Do you want to be a part of that? I said, just remember, it's like she's not in her body. She's just going to be laying there. And he said, oh yeah, I want to go. And I said, okay. So then the first day, the wake, when we had the wake, we went in, and he went right up with me. And sadly, my mom looked nothing like herself. Her face was so swollen, and she had like black in her nose, and I really think like she hit her face hard when she fell.
Swelling.
Yeah, and that was something that was mentioned when we went to the funeral home to set everything up. He was like, it's completely up to you if you want an open casket, but apparently, she had a lot of bruising, so like she had all this makeup, and she just didn't look like her, which was kind of a bummer. But we went up, and Gavin was like, that's Nani? And I said, yeah, honey, that's her. What's that black stuff in her nose? I said, well, remember when she fell and how you get black and blue? I think that's what that is. And, he was just like, okay. And he touched her, like I'm a big, to me, like, I don't know, my grandma died. I was like kissing her and, touching her. Yeah, like it's just, for me, it's so important to have that like true sense of closure. And, he's like, I was touching her. He goes, can I touch her? And I said, yes. I said, she's going to feel very cold because remember, she's not in her body. So he like touched her. And then all the kids were there, and there was another room. So my sisters, the kids range in age from 15 all the way down to Gavin, who's 5. My brother's children, who are 7 and 4, he didn't bring, nor did they know their grandma died, which to me is like, yeah, it's completely opposite. So I'm like so worried about his kids not being a part of it. My sister and I are kind of on the same wavelength in terms of how to handle death and things like that. But so all our children were in the room playing, and we ordered pizza for them during the week, and they'd come in and out, and they'd see people and be introduced to family they've never met and friends, and it was truly like a celebration. And all the kids got to pick what pictures they want in the casket before people arrived for the wake. So we put all the pictures in the casket that they picked. It was just really nice. And then Friday was the burial. So again, they were part of that, and they got to hear us talk and see me. Gavin's like, why are you crying? And I was like, because I'm sad, and it's okay if you cry, and just to make it so normal, and he didn't want to go back up to see her at one point, which was fine, I didn't want to force him, and then the last minute before they closed the casket to go to the cemetery, I said, do you want to go up? And he says, well, I'll go up with you. And we went up, and we said goodbye again. So it was just, the week was just like, it's been a whirlwind, of trying to get everything packed and done. But I feel so good, how it was handled for him. It's just so normal, and there's closure, and he's 5. He understands. His brain is so much older, in the questions that he asks. But to have him be a part of the process, I think is so nice.
Yeah, I really commend you for how you handled that. Death is such a big experience, and I would say it's more negative than positive, and the way that you were able to talk to your son, just, I feel like you had that little boost of confidence, and you stuck to the reality, which is amazing, especially since, you're always having a worry if he's going to be okay, how's he going to handle the situation, what if his dad passes away, how would you handle that, how would he handle it, And now, like, you're able to see that he can handle something like that, even at such a small, like, age.
Yeah.
You know, he was understanding the best way he could, and you know, once he's older, he's gonna probably handle it maybe even better than
Right.
what it is now, of course. I remember you saying you were the one that kind of had to deal with everything and take care of your mom. Was that the same situation for the whole funeral process, or like, what's the relationship like with your brother and sister? Like, did they partake in helping?
So it was really nice. My sister did come down, and it was nice to have, like, I'm the executor, but I don't take that, name as anything except I sign papers or whatever. But it was nice having my sister there to, like, help me make decisions, and we really worked together. And then we'd call my brother, like, what do you think about this? Are you cool with that? And thankfully, my mom, thankfully and sadly, she had so much time. As I said, she was homebound, and she was so organized that, like, her will was so thought out. We didn't have to think of anything. She picked her songs. She had songs for us 3 children, and she wrote things like, please know I love you and that you'll always be in my heart, and I don't want you to grieve me. Like, this was her actual words. And please play thus and such song in your honor. And please tell my best friend Phyllis, thank you so much, and her mom for always loving me like a family member, and played this song for them. And please tell my best friend Janice. Like, she already had every single thing written out with the song. She already had her mausoleum at Woodlawn Cemetery in the Bronx, so that was done. She didn't want to be cremated. She wanted to have a priest, just simple. Every single thing was done. So it was just a matter of, like, picking the mass card we want, or the same,
It must have made it easier on
It
you.
was so much. It was so, I was so thankful.
Were you experiencing any anxiety during that time? Like, what were your emotions like during that whole process? Was it more concern over Gavin, or was it you kind of accepting that your mother had passed?
Honestly, initially it was disbelief, because I didn't expect it to happen like that. I didn't, even though in my back of my mind I always thought I'd find her, I didn't really expect to. So I was just in shock, like, shit, she's really gone, But I think all week we were so busy. Like, she died on, like, they confirmed her dead Saturday morning. Her wake wasn't until Thursday. So we had from Saturday to Thursday to just, like, we were just so busy. Like, at night when I'd lay in bed is when I'd be like, holy crap, we're doing all of this because my mom died. I can't believe she died,
Because you're so focused on being busy that...
Right. Yeah. And then, like, I knew, like, the hardest day would be Friday, because that's when I won't see her anymore. The casket closes and she goes into the wall, and that's it. So I was preparing myself mostly for that, and that was hard to say goodbye. I just kept wanting to go back to her and hold her one more time, or touch her one more time. But I didn't have time to be in my head, anxious. So I'm in my head now, I'm thinking, how's it going to be upcoming weeks? Is it going to hit me at some point? Am I going to feel a certain way? But I feel like I have a good toolkit.
Yeah, I could only imagine that, the fact that I remember you saying you keep busy to not have the constant worry to distract yourself.
Yeah.
So now I want you to be aware that in the future you may experience the anxiety of not having that loved one around, or the questions that may come up with Gavin. And, maybe you can come up with ways in which you will handle that situation when the time comes. You are prepared to say, this is what happened again, this is how it goes, because, little kids do tend to forget and they don't understand. So he's obviously gonna, maybe next week or later on tonight, say, hey mom, is it really true? Or you're just kidding. Like, I want you to think of that, so that when the time comes, you're not feeling anxious or upset of saying, am I saying the right thing? Is this good for him? Because I know he's such a concern for you. So, I know this is a rough time, so I want to say, if you your help with coping with this, you're more welcome to come back. I know this was supposed to be intended for our last session, but after something like this, there's always room to keep discussing. In terms of Gavin's dad, how did that go about with the whole situation?
He was actually like really supportive. He showed up. Like I had called him before the coroner came, and I had told him she passed, and he just popped up and out of the elevator, and he stayed with me until it was time for us to leave. He's very like bipolar. I feel like he's up and down, and I feel like it's because he wants more from me than what I feel like I can give him, and he gets hurt feelings, and at times I think he gets like jealous of my relationship with my sister because we're so close. So he was like nasty like a couple times, but overall, like he wrote me a beautiful letter, like regarding my mom's passing, and complimenting me and how I handle it. Yesterday, when I was at my office writing one of my papers for school, he like just showed up and he brought me a sandwich and a drink. So yeah, like he's been, supportive. Like his mom passed away like 3 years ago. So he's been through this. So he'll like say things like, "So make sure you ask about this, and make sure that you ask the funeral home this, and make sure you get this paper, and you're gonna have to do this." So like he kind of knew what I should be, asking and doing. Yeah. So that was nice. Yeah. I mean, so it was one less burden. I didn't have to like deal with his feelings of being heard or.
It's really nice he was there and like really needed it, and he's probably going to be your next big support system. I don't know how much your mom helped into it, but that's really nice that he was thinking of you and took the time to write you a letter, which is also a good way of communication.
Yeah.
That you think maybe not having back then. I mean, under the circumstances, it seems like he really comes through.
Yeah, he did.
So I know we were talking about communication and maybe how you could express yourself with him. Do you think that this happening and him taking those actions kind of eased your mind a little, that you can talk to him and you can be someone that may listen?
Definitely. Yeah.
Do you think if, I want to kind of drift apart from the passing of your mom and let's talk about what we spoke about in our last session?
Sure.
Do you think that maybe encouraging or having like a reward when he does have open dialogue with you would be helpful if you express like, I'm feeling anxious, or now I'm going to be upset, that, what if Gavin sees me upset after this happened? Do you think you're able to express with him, or do you think it might remain the same, like your feelings about talking with Gavin's dad?
So I think I can like express to John how I feel about our relationship.
Your relationship, or even for now, just focusing on the fact that your mother did pass. Do you think like if you're having a really bad day and you just need someone, do you think that maybe this may have opened up your eye that you could be someone?
Yeah.
Without having, the romantic relationship part, you could just be.
I think that's my fear.
System.
I think that's my fear, is that I feel like I always feel like I'm leading him on. Like if I open up to him and look to him for him to be my companion in that sense, then he's going to look for intimacy, and then I'm leading him on to think that like that could happen. Yeah, even though it does. I mean, I feel like obligated to often to say TMI. Sorry, professor. But yeah, like I just worry, like I don't know, like it's my own issue of holding back, because I don't want him to be led on to think that there's more, because I think there's relationships where people are sometimes so in love with the other person or infatuated with them that anything the other person does, they take it as like, oh, she's in love with me too, you know what I mean? And that's how I feel like with him, is that, not to toot my own horn, because I just feel like, and everyone says, my friends say, like, he's so in love with you, Jen. Like, that's why he's so angry, and because you're not giving him what he wants from you.
Do you think before sitting down and maybe expressing like what do you feel, and kind of set a boundary, saying like, hey, I want to talk to you because you are the father of my child. Like this is what I'd like to do, or this is how I'm feeling. I need someone to talk to. And you guys do live together, so you would think that in a time of need, you guys can at least rely on each other as friends.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah, maybe like discuss like, hey, I have this anxiety or have this concern, and sometimes I don't express myself because I am fearful. Because you said like if I wanted to move, you would feel that you would fight for custody or anything like that. Do you feel like you could even take the first step to breaking it down?
I think that, it's going to come a time when I have to, because living the way we're living is not healthy. For Gavin, it's not healthy, because Gavin will make remarks like, Dad, why is Dad coming to Nani's funeral? He doesn't even like her. That's what he told me.
Wow.
And I was like, no, I think he likes her. Like, what does he share it out loud? Because he doesn't care who he says things to, So I'm like, So, yeah, Gavin is a lot smarter than I'd like to believe he is. So I feel like there has to come a point, and he'll even say to me, like, Dad loves you? I don't think Dad loves you, Mom. So it's like, I think there has to be something healthy for him, because I don't want him to grow up thinking this is relationships.
Yeah, like the environment's
right.
a little confusing for him.
Exactly.
Do you think that now you're more likely to take the move back to Arizona since you don't have like the obligation or responsibility of taking care of your mom?
Yeah, at some point, obviously, like I want to finish school, and as much as I want to go to Arizona, the teachers, the school counselors don't get paid like they get paid here, and they don't have tenure like they do here. It's you can get fired at any point.
Wow.
So a lot of things to factor in, but my heart is still there.
So I'd say, what do you think is like your main concern or issue right now? I know that we were focusing on your anxiety and your relationship with Gavin's dad and like separating away from Gavin, but since your mother passed, how has that changed anything? Or do you still feel the same?
I feel a little bit like less anxious because I've been forced to leave him with friends, and which isn't always a concern, but most of my friends have pools. And yes, Gavin knows how to swim, and he's been in swim lessons since he was 9 months old, and he should be swimming like Michael Phelps. But of course, I do get a little anxiety. Even coming here today, I was texting my friend who was bringing him to our friend's house who has a pool, and I didn't say to Gavin, make sure you tell someone you're going in the water. Do not go in the water alone. Make sure if you go to the front of the house that you're not up front by yourself, that you tell someone. So I didn't say these things, so I'm driving thinking, holy shit, I forgot to tell him. So then I'm texting my friend, Holly, saying, I forgot to tell Gavin, but can you please make sure that you tell him he needs to tell you when he's going in the pool, and he needs to tell you when he's going to the front of the house, and not to go alone. And she knows I'm a cuckoo freak.
Yes.
So she's like, don't worry, I have it covered, smiley face. But yeah.
So
but I've been forced to let go, even though I have these thoughts.
Do you find like the positive side? I feel like you notice like, hey, everything was okay. He's still okay, even in this moment of mayhem and loss and everything. Like he's okay.
That it worked out.
He's going to be okay.
Exactly.
Really good. Obviously the circumstance is unfortunate, but you also gained such an insight of
most definitely
having Gavin be independent from
right.
mom.
I know that we all survived.
So I know there's going to be times after loss where you experience some sadness, anxiety, even at a point could be some point of depression once the reality of someone being gone hits, or dealing with your son or any other family members that would be affected. So before we conclude our session, I'd like to introduce a little breathing exercise for you, just so that you have a way to cope in case you're not feeling yourself, or just take a moment to relax. So the first thing is you need to sit back, relax, make sure your back has some support. And I'd like for you to breathe in quietly through your nose for 4 seconds. 1, 2, then you hold the breath for a count of 7 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Then I want you to exhale forcefully through the mouth, pursing the lips and making a whoosh sound for 8 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. How did you like that?
Oh, felt so nice. And then all I need is someone at my back massaging.
Yeah, so that's a small breathing exercise you can do at any time, and you can do it up to 4 times. Don't want to push it out here. And for next time, if there is, by your choice, you want to continue talking about anything, I want you to, take a moment for yourself for sure. You realize Gavin's okay. He's going to be okay. He handled this major life situation pretty well for a 5-year-old.
Yes.
Yeah, 5-year-old. And I want to commend you. You handle it really well. You're continuing doing your school stuff. You handle everything together, working on it with other people, and I want you to realize that you can handle this big situation. You can handle something smaller, like having a talk with Gavin's dad or Gavin itself, or even within yourself. I got this. I can do it. I'll take a second to breathe and relax, get my thoughts together, and just realize that everything's gonna be okay.
Thank you.
And I really appreciate you sharing that deep experience with me, and I hope everything from here on out goes well. It was a
Thank you.
pleasure getting to know you.
Same here. Thank you so much.
welcome. Have a good
See you
day.
soon.